So, good evening, everyone. We've got another interview this evening with Coach Carbon in anticipation of our forthcoming event, the Bitcoin Fest, which is going to be taking place in Nottingham on the 6th of April. My name is Victoria Jones from Satoshi's page. And what we're trying to do is get a preview of some of the speakers and the workshop attendees and some of the entertainers that we have at this forthcoming event, which should be really exciting. We've got 500 tickets that have been made available. 100 of those were for VIPs. All of the VIP tickets have now sold out, but we still have some tickets for the general audience available, and still worth coming down because obviously this is an opportunity to meet other Bitcoiners in person. You'll be able to network with those. The speeches are going to be occurring in the bar where the VIPs will be able to see directly, but we'll have some screens available for anyone else to watch what's going on. You'll also be able to attend the workshops, and there's also going to be a football match in the afternoon because the location of this event is the Carlton Football Club. Now, in tune with that, today we've got Coach Carbon from the Bitcoin Ballers Academy, who's based in Oxford, who's going to be coming up to speak to us today. And so, yes, I'll let him introduce himself to us. And what are you going to be talking to us about at this event?
First of all, Victoria, thanks for inviting me on. So, looking forward to the event at Carlton FC. My talk will be titled "How do we get the world to adopt Bitcoin?" Using the 6 Ps. So I won't say too much into that. I have actually delivered this talk at Madeira at Bitcoin Atlantis. It will be slightly changed, obviously, for Carlton FC for the Bitcoin Fest, but that will be the theme. How do we get the world to adopt Bitcoin?
Wow, so that's a very prestigious location down at Bitcoin Atlantis. What was that like?
For me, I've been to other conferences, and you'll recognize yourself for your experiences, Victoria, what the vibe you get from a Bitcoin conference. I would say this was slightly better than ones I've been to, purely for the fact of the vibe, the energy that we had, because we had lots of families, lots of young children. There was more female energy, or femigy, as we call it in the Bitcoin space.
I've not heard that before, actually.
Have you not heard it? Okay.
No.
We'll talk about that. We could talk about that later. But yeah, lots of femigy, not so much big Ken energy. But the children involved, having different spaces for the children to go out and enjoy and learn about Bitcoin. I had my mother with me and my daughter. That they had a great time. And the fact that it was on an island with sun, sea, at a football stadium just made it even more better.
Sounds amazing. So did you do an event in their football stadium after your talk?
So yes, we had a satellite event, the Bitcoin Atlantis Football Cup, which I hosted. It was the day after the conference. We had quite a few attendees. We had a kids tournament and an adults tournament. Some notable Bitcoiners played. Daniel Prince was in the team. There was some Bitcoin companies represented who donated some T-shirts. So Fedi Mint had a team. Who else had one? Bitcoin Atlantis actually had a team. I think that team won it. But yeah, lots of people came to enjoy the event, show their proof of work, and they won some great prizes.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Did you get some good feedback after the event and after your talk?
Yes, I did. Lots of people who were new to Bitcoin, which I was quite surprised at. So myself, I would call myself a fairly noob to the space. Fell down the rabbit hole in late 2020, but there were people who listened to the talk who had probably only understood Bitcoin or started learning within the last year. So to them, it seemed like I knew a lot. Myself, I know quite a bit more than the average person, but I know I've only just scratched the surface of Bitcoin within my 3.5 years. So it was interesting to see how they reacted to the talk and how I then deliver it. Because I couldn't go too technical, although in my mind it wasn't that technical. So I had to try and change the talk as I was ongoing after asking questions. But yeah, it was a good experience.
Wow, and that's fantastic. You know, only having been in the space for 3.5 years to be invited to such a prestigious event, you must have felt very honored.
Yes, definitely. So, funnily enough, the opportunity came around when I applied for a job as part of the digital marketing team for Bitcoin Atlantis.
Oh yeah, right.
But through various other bits of proof of work, I was told by Andre Loja, the organizer, I've spoken to Daniel Prince. We don't want to give you that job. We want to give you something else. So they asked me to host the football tournament. They then further asked me to host the golf tournament, the Whole Corner tournament. I hosted that, and then they said, "Do you want to do some talks? Do you want to host some kids events?" So I was very busy over the week.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So there you go, folks. If you want to really, you might not have heard of he might not be as widely known, but we do have someone very experienced and from quite a prestigious conference attending and talking to us here. So that leads me on to my next question. How is it that you came to be involved in the Bitcoin Fest?
I actually met Chris at Avon Valley.
Okay.
I think we met 2 years ago, and then we met again last year. We just kept in touch, as most Bitcoiners do, online via Twitter mostly. And then when he announced the festival, he asked if I'd like to come along. And obviously, being a Bitcoiner and loving football, it was a definite yes. Just let me know where and when.
Yeah, fantastic. I can't think of a better person to ask, actually, because I think in the interviews I've had with Chris and also with Mitch, we were commenting on the fact that we needed a new venue for our local Bitcoin meetup, and because they knew the football club, they asked if we could use their premises. And so there are some of us, myself included, who know nothing about football, and so to have someone who's a dedicated Bitcoiner and also into football is fantastic. And that gives me the perfect opening to ask you about your Bitcoin Ballers Academy. How does that work? How have you been using that to help educate people on Bitcoin?
Again, I'm going to shout out Daniel Prince. I can't thank him enough. Bitcoin Ballers Academy came about as a passion project. As I said, I fell down the rabbit hole in 2020. I joined Daniel Prince's learning group, a group of probably 12 of us that would jump on call every week just to discuss Bitcoin. Some people have been in the space a few years, some like myself a few months. And just 1 week, we had the chance to speak with John Vallis. And so I tell this story to people that know nothing about Bitcoin, and they're like, John who? But for people that are in the space that know, think, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So during the call, we had to introduce ourselves and say what we wanted to do. And I said, well, I want a job in this space. I want to give something back, but I'm not an engineer or software developer. What can I do? And John Vallis just said, why don't you provide value in your community? That night in March 2021, Bitcoin Ballers was born. I thought, I love football. I could see the synergies between football and Bitcoin. I'm going to create something. So Bitcoin Ballers was created, and it simply started off as an Instagram page, giving away sats for people that interacted just by liking posts. I then moved on to asking people to do tricks and skills, and they could get rewarded that way. I then linked with Coin Corner and Geyser, and we were able to fund a football kit, which allowed me to put teams in football competitions. I hosted a couple of competitions called the Bitcoin Ballers Winter Cup in my local area for young people to play and win prizes. And as I said, been in Madeira recently, hosting a satellite event at the conference. And the plan for Bitcoin Ballers is just to create an opportunity for people to learn about Bitcoin through football. And they might not necessarily understand Bitcoin or even care for it at the time, but the terminology I use, if they come across Bitcoin at a later date, they're going to understand the analogy. So for example, we use peer-to-peer. When you're passing the ball between you and your partner, or transferring the ball in the air, how many successful transfers can you do? That's the peer-to-peer challenge. If you can see behind me.
That's really clever, actually. Yeah, that's really clever, because you're planting the seeds of something they'll make a connection with later. That's brilliant. Very good. Sorry, I interrupted you. Carry on.
No, the picture behind me is a goal net. It's called Getting Off Zero. So if I move, you might be able to see the footballs. You have 5 footballs to hit. You have to hit against the backboard and then hit the target. But you can take as long as you like, trying to get the highest score. So we're talking about time preference, delayed gratification. Do you walk the ball up to the net and place it in the bottom corner, get a low score and a long time? But over time, the more you practice it, you can shoot from further away, get a higher score at harder shots. So liken that to your Bitcoin journey, you're stacking the sats. If you go in all in straight away, it may work for you, but probably won't. You probably miss the target. If you take your time, you get a bit more confidence. Over time, you'll be able to take those further shots and have confidence in your conviction.
Wow, that's really clever and so creative. And I love the way you're making those links. And what a great way to educate the kids. That's just fantastic. I think Chris was mentioning that during the day at the Bitcoin Fest, they're going to try and open some practice pitches for you to have a play around with the kids. Has he told you that yet?
He did mention that. He did mention,
So it sounded like fun. I just thought I'd make sure that you'd anticipated that as well, so
Yeah.
you come prepared with all your best ideas.
Well, if it's anything like Madeira, I don't mind, but I'll be throwing stuff at the last minute. But as long as people are engaging and they're having fun, I don't mind doing it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And have you heard that we've got the Zebedee guys who've created a scoreboard for the players? Have you seen that?
Yes, which I'm very interested in because it ties in with something that I do with Bitcoin Borders Academy players.
Right.
And yes, if I can get Zebedee on board with what we're doing as well, and from the
Yeah.
sounds of it, it looks like it will tie in well. So what I love
Have
in
you
the
have you
space,
met the Zebedee guys before?
briefly in Manchester a couple of years ago, but I don't
Okay.
think it was only in passing because they were giving some sets away. But I have the Zebedee app,
Yeah.
so yeah, I know who the guys are.
Yeah, so this will be a great opportunity for you to kind of have a chat and collaborate and maybe, see what they put together. I have asked Chris to see if he can put me in touch with the Zebedee guys to do an interview, but I don't think they wanted to do anything publicly. So this
Okay.
might be the only mention our audience gets to hear about them. But yeah, they've created a scoreboard for the players. So the idea is that during the football match, people will be able to tip the players with sats. So that sounds like a really new innovation. For the football club. So of course
Yeah.
the idea of combining, we've set up the day so it combines with a normal match day for the football club. So we're anticipating quite a few people there who've maybe never seen Bitcoin before. And so the idea of showing them this scoreboard for the players and showing them how the
Yeah.
sats work and everything else, I think will be a great way of kind of educating people as to how it works and, really generate some curiosity. So that would be great.
Definitely.
And so and tying in with you being able to talk, and of course we're going to be live streaming the event, so your talk will be recorded for prosperity. So you're going to
No
really have to make
pressure.
sure it's a good one.
But
but,
I've had my practice in Madeira, so I should be good to
exactly. If you can cope with Madeira, you'll definitely be able to cope with this. So yeah, that's really excited to see that. It's always good to see new innovations coming through. So how, moving on from that, how did you become involved with Bitcoin originally? You mentioned that you found out about it in 2020. How did that journey evolve? How did you actually come to discover Bitcoin?
So, like many others, I found it later than what I should
Yeah,
have. I had various touch points years before. I won't go into too much detail, but basically, people, including myself, should be more inquisitive. But what
yeah,
I owe my rabbit hole journey down to is time.
yeah.
When I was able to spend time to look into it, I had the time freedom. So it was around now actually, COVID time. Um, I was a construction project manager. Ended
Hmm.
up being made redundant in around August time, and coincidentally, at the same time, a friend of mine in a group chat said, "Who wants to speak about crypto?" So I said,
Hmm.
"Yes, why not?" And the first thing he said was, "Do your own research." They, I don't think he
Helpful?
understood. Yeah, very helpful, but I don't think he understood how far I take it because I had
Right.
to say free time. I wasn't working. I was spending time in the gym, working on
Like
health
many of
rounds
us,
and
yeah.
fitness. Yeah. So literally 10 hours a day. I
Wow.
was spent for a month. So by the end of the month, I was like, whoa, this is it. Looking around, why is everybody not talking about Bitcoin? Then I became the evangelist, sending
Yeah,
people 10-hour Read Loves series to people, which was never going to be the way we get the world to adopt Bitcoin. So I've learned from then how to approach people. But yeah,
yeah,
from that moment, I was fully orange pilled, and I owe it down to the time I had. And speaking about previous touch points, I wasn't inquisitive enough, but didn't have the bandwidth to be able to spend that amount of time because I was working
yeah,
full time. I had projects on, I had
yeah.
family. It
Like
was
so
yeah,
many people.
it
Yeah.
was it wouldn't have been the right time, and I probably wouldn't be where I am now if I had kind of
Yes.
understood it before.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's true actually. It's the people who understand it a little bit and don't fully have the time to grasp it. You literally need to spend 10 hours a day for a month before you even begin to understand it. That's, I
Yes.
think a good metric for, what it takes for a lot of us. And I think as you say, a lot of people during COVID, hey, that's when Michael Saylor fully started to understand it. He was probably in the same position. It's like
Yeah,
COVID,
yeah,
it's like all you've got is to stay at home with YouTube. I mean, what a perfect opportunity. It's almost like it was brilliantly set up for it, wasn't it, really? But
definitely.
yeah, fantastic. You got the opportunity and you made the most of it. And look where you are now. I mean,
Yeah.
Amazing.
Uh, I'm
Amazing.
always
Really.
thankful to my friend for asking the question. Again,
Yeah.
I tell the story because the wording was who wants to speak about crypto, but it led me
Yeah.
down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. So if I speak to anyone now, I say you should learn about Bitcoin. Yeah,
Ah.
crypto has its own connotations, and if you start to learn about Bitcoin, you'll understand why. But
Yeah.
ultimately, it's personal responsibility. I can't tell anyone what to do or what to study. I can only advise and talk about my journey and what has
Yes.
led me to where I am now.
Yeah. And all credit to you because, to be fair, there are plenty of people who are told to learn about crypto who don't get as far as realizing that actually it's Bitcoin you need to understand before you understand anything. So, that's to your credit as well, I think, that you managed to make the transition. Not everyone gets that far. Although less and less these days, because I think there are so many people, singing from the same hymn sheet, which is just like,
Yeah.
yeah, fantastic. Great stuff. So, my final question then is, what is it for you that you're most looking forward to about attending this event? We've touched on a number of things that are happening, but what do you think will be your highlight?
I don't think I could pin it just down to one thing. But you have mentioned the Zebedee. What I'm looking forward to is watching a game of football with like-minded people. I say
Yeah,
Bitcoiners. Um, we are different people from all different walks of life with a shared belief, a shared understanding in something. But we
yeah,
were able to come together and discuss lots of different topics. Just before the course started, we went off on tangent and started talking about something tin hat stuff. But it's
yeah,
fun. You can have an opinion and you can go back and forth with each other. But yeah, to be amongst Bitcoiners watching football and being able to demonstrate how you can relate Bitcoin to football or to sport in terms
yeah,
of engagement, fan engagement, direct engagement with fans and players with no, I say there is no third party. There is a third party at Zebedee that facilitating it, but there are ways we can demonstrate that a fan can directly interact with a football player and the player can directly interact with the fan, which
yeah,
no other currency will allow you to do that, but no other technology will really allow you to do that at this present time, apart from Bitcoin and
yeah.
Lightning.
Yeah, and the innovations are so new, and some people really find it difficult to understand. So, as you say, the way in which you've used your creativity to, encourage people in new ways, that's fun. I think it's really great, and I look forward to witnessing that myself. And I'm sure, many of our viewers who are going to be attending will as well. I'll try and catch it on the live stream. It might be a bit tricky, but definitely, if you come down to the event in person, you're much more likely to see it in action than because we can probably catch the speakers on the live stream, and we'll try and catch a bit of that, but it might be a bit more tricky. So that's, if nothing else, that's a good reason to attend. So I'm going to
Yeah.
wrap up the interview there. Thank you so much for your time this evening to make time to come and talk to me about this. I'm getting a lot of feedback that people are really finding these interviews useful, because so often we go to conferences and we have no idea who the speakers are ahead of time or what it is they can to offer. So by being introduced to them ahead of time, and getting a flavor of what the event is going to be about, really helps to build the anticipation and encourages people that even if it's a little bit rainy and a little bit windy in that morning, it's still going to be worth getting in your car and coming down and joining us at that event. So thank you so much for your time this evening. For those of you who are watching still on YouTube or Facebook, please give us a like, maybe make a comment, so that we can improve the algorithm, because we want this event to reach as many people as possible, whether in person or on the live stream. And so your help is really appreciated. And I'm hoping, tomorrow I've got the next talk that I've got scheduled is with Joe, our musician. So if you're following these interviews, hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow for that. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you once again, and we'll see you
Thank you for
tomorrow.
having me on.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.